Hi, good evening, and welcome to this week's, or this month's actually, Navigating Life session. It's an outreach program of the St. Andrew Church of Christ. We know it's a holiday weekend and you could be elsewhere, so we really are happy that you can join us. I know, for example, that today there's an event that's just coming to an end now, so some of our members are going to be a little bit late, but we don't want to punish you who have come on time by holding up the work. So let me just do some housekeeping, if you don't mind. As indicated, this project has been a program really over a number of years, actually pre-COVID, where we have been reaching out to individuals to help them to navigate through life, basically. So, I think we were approached that in sermons and so on, people have issues, but they can't really get a chance to talk about it and to get advice on those issues. And so that's how the program came about. We are St. Andrew Church of Christ, and you can see on the screen, we worship at 77 Red Hills Road, which is in Kingston 19. And we're in Jamaica, by the way, and you can reach us at 532-9891. Just want to do this little bit of housekeeping and then move on. All of these sessions and our worship sessions, also our Bible classes, are available online. If you go to standardchurchofchrist.org/media, you can access them, or we have a YouTube channel, Simply Christians with the S, Simply Christians JA, and also on Facebook, Simply Christians JA. These things are being recorded for your access. But of course, we would invite you to join us for our worship service. We meet at 9 a.m. and we go until about 10:30, thereabouts, and then we have our Bible class. And then there's a midweek Bible study on Tuesdays. And the very same link that you use here also gives you access to these sessions. Tonight, we want to look at thriving through adversity, resurgence after life's setbacks. I am Trevor E.S. Smith, and I'm giving you the E.S. because there are so many Trevor Smiths. And with me is one of the island's leading counseling psychologists, Andre Allen Casey. So we will be your guide today, and we will just want to move forward. We're going to stop share here and have a word of prayer, and then we can go right into the thing. Please bow with me if you like. Almighty God, we give you thanks, Lord, for this opportunity to share, to provide comfort, provide advice to others. And we just pray, Father, that this session will be beneficial, will be aligned to your word, and will, in fact, have the positive impact that is designed. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so maybe I could ask a question. What is it that you would want from this session? Anybody wants to share that? We like these sessions to be interactive. Anything that you would say, I'm kind of hoping that this might happen, or this might be shared. Any quick thing? I'm not going to prolong this because we like to use the time that's available to deal with needs. Anything that you would want to say, hey, I joined, I got the link and I'm here. Can I just come see what's happening? Or I really have an interest in a particular area. Why not give it a minute? If anybody wants to just, you don't have to put up your hand, you can just share. Anything? But Andre, how are you today, sir? Enjoying your emancipendence?
Yes, indeed. Well, working.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
The freedom to work. All right, I'm just going to move right ahead then. We might have some bashful people. So when I look at then this whole question of not just surviving. I mean, we have done a number of sessions. I think we were talking about resilience and coping. Right? Tonight, we want to look a little bit more optimistically and to say, how can we thrive in the face of setbacks? And so let's get the ball rolling. The whole question of setbacks, when we think about life, I've been around long enough to understand that whether we like it or not, there are going to be some ups and some downs. Somebody just mentioned that they have been in a Ferris wheel, and that's basically what life is like. And so setbacks are inevitable, right? So it's a roller coaster situation. And so we want to look at now, how do we not only overcome this inevitable part of our lives, but also to be able to thrive in the face of these challenges. And so our goal tonight, and I hope that we achieve the objectives, is to provide insights that will kind of empower us, inspire us, motivate us, but also give us some tools that will help us to navigate through this, the rough waters. Basically, the idea is to help us to develop resilience. That's the heart of it. So, as we then face this issue then of embracing, so not only fearing then, or not only coping, or wishing that we never get the setbacks, but embrace them. Embrace the reality that this is a part of life. We want to then see how, to some extent, we can sail smoothly through these rough waters. So the question is this then, is not if we will get setbacks, if that will happen to us, but it's a question of how we respond. That is the core. I mean, if there's just one thing that we get from tonight's session, it is the response to the problem, the setbacks, that determines who we are and how we go forward. Basically, that's basically what it is. It is our response that matters. And so I want to give you a word of encouragement from the scriptures. And if you could actually go down to verse 18, but the righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. So we have this support mechanism. And yes, when I preach to you tonight, but we want to say to you that a key ingredient to being able to thrive through adversity is to have a connection with the source, is to have this access to the Lord. When I put that on the table right up front, that if you have this relationship with God, then you have an added advantage. You can, in fact, cry out and be delivered. So, with this assurance, I want to embrace the challenges that we will face, knowing that there is strength beyond our own. So, if we look at it, how can I, simple man, cope with all of these problems? Yeah, but you're not a simple man or woman. You are, in fact, a child of God, and you have a close relationship with God, and God has promised to provide you with safe passage through your adversity. Just putting that on the table. So, also want to look at the strength of the human spirit, that this whole question of our resilience, just let me adjust my, all right, so Resilience, when we talk about resilience, we're talking about the capacity to bounce back from adversity, ability to adapt, the ability to grow stronger through the process of setbacks. As when we're getting, there's a passage that talks about while our outer self is we're in a way our inner self is being reduced day by day. So those are some of the things that we have to understand as well, that there is a capacity, there is an innate capacity that's available to us to help us to thrive through challenges. People that know me know that I hardly speak without talking about Joseph, because it's such an inspirational story, situation. Here is a young man, almost thrown away, given for dead, sold into slavery, and rises to be, the most powerful man in Egypt. Genesis 50 verse 20 says, who intended to harm me. This is a situation now where he reveals himself to his brothers, and he says, I am Joseph. The brother just sold me into slavery, And he says, don't be anxious, don't be upset with yourself for selling me into this place. It is God who sent me ahead of you to save your lives, basically. So, he says you intended harm. But God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, saving many lives. So he saved many lives by giving them the wisdom of storing the things. So what we're saying here is that if we look at stories like this, we can learn that setbacks might also be stepping stones to a greater purpose. So when we go into a trial, when something is a crisis, when we are in this box of bricks, it might make sense for us to wonder, could this be a stepping stone? Could there be a greater purpose behind what I'm going through? And basically then we can see that your setbacks, and I want you to pause for a minute and look back at some of the setbacks. I've been at situations where I'm saying, believe you me, I don't want to face the next day. But no, I can't even laugh about them, because the opportunities that they open, the lessons that we learn from it, the growth that I, got from that, the character, the development that I got from that. And maybe you can do the same. Again, these sessions are, interactive. If you want to share, anybody has a situation that was a crisis where they were biting, well, not your biting nails, but you were really tense and concerned. And now that the matter is over, there is a sense of, I did that, I came through that, and I'm stronger for that. Anybody wants to come online to share for a minute? We don't want a sermon, but if you can quickly share. But Andre, if you want to as well, I'm opening it up to anybody. Just because we learn also from others, if you want. Yeah. No?
I do believe there's a lot of value or importance in giving ourselves hope, especially if we're going through a painful situation. It's kind of difficult for us to give ourselves hope while we're going through the painful situation. But maybe we can learn from the past, meaning the times in which we have given ourselves hope and we didn't give up on today, so to speak. So you mentioned earlier that sometimes we feel like we don't even want to see tomorrow. But look at how tomorrow works out still. Or now that we can look back at tomorrow, we can say, boy, thank God I never follow my feelings and do something silly. And all I'm just kind of saying here, maybe we can just look at those times in which we did overcome or we learned from it and use it to propel our present situation, that even when things are really look dim, we can say to ourselves, well, you know something, last year it did dim to and look at where I am now. You know,
Exactly.
2 weeks ago it was dim and look at where I am now. So we can just use that to kind of help us to push forward.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Okay. So want to actually look at some practical steps now. When I look at one suggestion, is that we embrace a mindset that says, I'm going to learn from my challenges, I'm going to learn from setbacks, and I'm going to have a mindset that whenever I'm in a situation, any situation, I'm going to have a mindset that looks towards solutions. I'm going to move from woe is me, oh, I'm crippled, I can't do anything about this, I have no agency, to there must be an answer. Yeah, I'm going to learn from this, and in the meantime, I'm going to seek solutions. Right? So that's the first thing. So how do we embrace this learning mindset? One thing to do, if you can go back to the Joseph story, is that you can see setbacks as opportunities for learning and for self-discovery. Yes? So this is happening. Oh, what can I take from this? Maybe I should have done so and so. Maybe if I didn't do this, it wouldn't have happened. But here are answers. There's an answer in this direction. There's an answer in this direction. That's basically what it is that we can do. What can I learn from this? Huh? And of course, then those are the lessons that you're going to call back on and call upon in the future. Huh? And then, what about areas for improvement? Why am I faced with this crisis? All right. So let us use an example. A practical example is that we've run out of money at the end of the month. We can't pay our bills, etc. Is there a chance then to look at budgeting better or find some other income streams? Maybe it is a chance to say, well, listen to me, the job that I'm in or the career that I'm in is not helping me. I might need to go and study so that I can, So what I'm saying to you is that the whole idea is to have a mindset that says every crisis, there is a solution and there are lessons to be learned from it. So rather than be overwhelmed by the crisis, the whole concept would be to find ways to learn and to benefit from it. Okay. Again, please stop me at any time if you want clarification or you want to make a comment. The other thing now is to shift from the setback, setback. Yeah. Sometimes we focus too much on the problem. So we have the issue and we just dwell and we ruminate on it. And while we are ruminating and dwelling on it, the problem is that we're not solving it. As a matter of fact, we're making it worse because we don't adding stress to the mix, and stress is not healthy. So the philosophy that we're talking about here is to actually shift from this rumination on the problem, to a situation to say, well, okay, fine. So what if I stop worrying and start doing? Yeah. So let us apply problem-solving techniques to the issue, right? And also, see your hand, Patrick, when I make you talk in a second, and seek support as well. I mean, if you are stuck in woe, then maybe you can have somebody help you to get beyond your woe. Please go ahead, Patrick.
Bless you, Trevor.
Right.
How does one know when it is time to shift focus?
Good question. My answer would be right away when the setback comes. So something happens. You need to, of course, check the reality that this is so. So you want to embrace the reality. You're not going to be in denial, etc. But once you have been clear now that this is really an issue, then let's start to unpack it. Let's start to see how we can address it. And if it is not something that you can do anything about, then you have to start to work on the mind then to say, well, okay, fine. How am I going to endure this? Yeah. So if you can solve it, maybe you have to endure it. But so what I would say is action needs to take place right away. Once we are clear that this is really a genuine issue, it's not a situation where we're saying, oh boy, money has run out now, they're going to put out my clothes on the road, etc. And so you start to, the issue is, where are we now? Is this a reality? If this is the reality, then time for action. That's my take. It's not a ruminate until sometimes somebody come and say to you, hey, I need to get past this now. And months afterwards, you're still in that hole. So
that's sorry, that's exactly why I asked with that last point you made just now, because persons sometimes would want to dictate when it is time for you to shift from when it is time for you not to shift.
Mm-hmm.
So a person might say, okay, it is time, but then you have not fully analyzed the situation, mm-hmm. or even at the place where you start to accept it. And so when they, I mean, in a sense, would say that to you, it probably triggers something inside of you that would probably react in a negative way because you are not at that place.
I hear you, and that's the case. There is, I heard another voice, I'm going to speak another way. There is a proverb that talks about, the friendship and the fact that some of your close friends might hurt, they might be a sword kind of thing. So sometimes it might be that we need to be prodded and it might upset us, but it might be in our best interest as well. So that's another angle to the thing, that it could be that while we're not ready, someone might suggest that it's time to move on, and it might be offensive, but it might be also useful. I heard another voice. Please go ahead.
Yeah, well, that was me. I was about to say that I've been tired of the same result.
Okay, good.
Right. I mean, if every time you're doing this and you're getting the same result, and you're complaining, then what next? I'm saying, rather than keep on complaining, then just try something different. I'm saying it all depends on if you really get tired of the same result, then maybe that can propel you to move on and try something else. That's just something I want to say.
Got it. Right. So Patrick, I don't know if that answers the question. It's kind of.
No, man, perfect. We're good. All
right. Okay. All right. So the next thing, again, we're looking at thriving in the face of setbacks, resurging after setbacks. So we want to look at the whole question of resilience again. How do we look at that? So very similar. The idea is seeing these setbacks as opportunities for growth. Yeah. How do we build strength? In other words, I don't know. I look back at a number of situations and I said, God, you took me through that. I mean, if I can go through that, then I believe that I can deal with this. That's the sort of thing. So, and one of the things that we have to look at then, is that, James talked about the situation that when these things, you must give some to them in the sense that you're developing muscles. Yes. So the whole idea is that as we use these coping muscles, as we use these thriving muscles, they're going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And so have that mindset so that when something hits you, it's not a surrender. It is a mindset that I went through this, I can go through this. And so you almost, I don't want to welcome problems, but it's a kind of philosophy that says, okay, fine, this is another test. If I pass this test, then it would mean that I'll be stronger going forward. And so see it in that light. See it in this light. This is a hurdle that I need to clear. And I'm going to back myself, knowing that I have the power of God behind me. I'm going to back myself to clear this hurdle. That's basically what it is. And there's a philosophy that comes from that kind of mindset. There's a benefit that comes from it. You just definitely achieve more. I don't know. We can just look at the reggae girls situation where they're down at 40 odd, and they're knocking teams that are, I think Brazil was 10 or something like that, and they drew with France, who was number 5. I mean, when we saw the draw before, when you look at Panama, Brazil, France, Jamaica, you just know that France and Brazil are going through and we're going to get knocked out. But it's a word that I don't know if people know it is a Jamaican. It's a cussedness, a certain kind of cussedness about problems that are coming, and it's just not going to be you're not just going to be overrun. So that's one philosophy. Other part of it now though is to be careful. And we're going to talk about that later as well, about our self-talk and so on, is how we file the information. When we have a setback, when something happens to us, we have to be careful that we don't regard it as a failure. Oh boy, I am not so good, and it's because I am, all sorts of negative thoughts that are building up now. Don't see it in that light. Say, all right, fine. I just have to step up my game. This is a call to step up my game. This is a call to perform at a higher level. It's not that I am inadequate. It is not that I am worthless, no good. It's very important, because anyhow we file things like that in terms of saying, good, then we're not really preparing ourselves to climb the next mountain, jump over the next hurdle. Right? So that's part of the whole question then of our personal development. When we see adversity, when we see these hurdles and we're clearing them, we are saying, oh boy, I'm getting better, I'm improving. The other thing is now, do we sit, and Brother Andre talk about it now, do we go back over the same cycle and the cycle and the cycle and the cycle? Or do we see that there's a need for change? Yes? Yeah. Say, no, man, this is the last time. This is not happening to me again. And go and make the thing, So we go to the doctor. The doctor said, listen to me, master. You're at risk of this or that is happening to you. And the reason why it is happening to you is because you don't exercise, you don't eat properly, you don't whatever. I still smoking, but something like that. And you go back again and they say, listen to me, look at your heart, look at your lung, No, at some point in time, the penny must drop. And you must say, no, this information is a call for action, and I am going to take action. That's the key. That's a huge step forward in terms of resilience, where we actually can start to look at things to say, no, I am making a decision to change. I would even prefer to say transform. I want to be in a state where I'm transformed and the same. I'm really going to turn around and make my life different. It's just like that, get the call, going to service, people come and study and whatever it is. Yeah, okay. Don't do anything. Get very ill, start to wonder now whether death is coming up on you. Yeah, okay. No, maybe I want to have a relationship with God. That's the kind of thing we talk about, that sometimes the adversity is there to produce a major change, a transformation in your life. And if you look at it like that, then it's beneficial. Right? Moving forward, again, any questions, anytime, step in, please. Another approach is clearly to deepen your faith and to lean on God's wisdom. Yeah. These are, you might say, maybe this is not so helpful or this is, but trust me, don't underestimate the power of prayer. And scientifically, I mean, in terms of physical health as well, comes from this prayer. So your whole question of then your daily prayer and meditation and connection with God is going to make a difference. So while the storms are beating outside and all of that, that moment we pause and we commune with God, etc. That's a moment of de-stress. And there's power in prayer. It's not just the de-stressing, etc. There's power there. And of course, I can see guidance. We can, that full question of expressing yourself, coming to truth, because if you're praying to God, you can't be faking and lying or whatever it is. So that whole process is really helpful because it points you. In other words, if I'm asking God, please help me to do X, Y, Z, then it means that I have some idea of the direction in which the solution is. So instead of just woeing, you could be also looking to see part of that mentality. Am I starting to have a solution mindset instead of a victim mindset? We're going to talk about that in a while. And of course, very useful. And if you can sing, or at least hum, you can also have some songs in your mind that will make a huge difference to your state of mind. And of course, our state of mind is important when we're going through adversity. We don't want to be overwhelmed. We don't want to be without hope. We always want to have some feeling that there's a way, there's a hope, there's some chance that some things are going to get better. That is part of the human spirit. Without hope, we have a real problem. And so this is something to give you hope. And scriptures also help you. I can pull up the Joseph story. I can pull up many stories. Can also pull up advice, strong advice that's provided. The Bible is really a compendium of personal development tips and ways to navigate through life. So if we go through that, we can find answers to the problems that we might be having. Okay, let us use this passage to suggest a way forward. Or here's a way that I'm, making my misstep. If I can shift on the basis of what I've learned, then I'll be in a better place. So that's something that I would suggest I would do. The reason for the church is one of the reasons is there is not only to have the worship, but it's the whole idea of that collective sense, that family feeling, that idea that there's a community of support. And every time people talk about resilience and so on, one of the things, and in terms of health, people who have support, people who are in fellowship, are in a much better place to cope with life. Okay, I heard somebody. No? Itching ears there. Sorry. Yeah. So, and also, we can discuss our issues. We can discuss our challenges. We can find people that we can confide in, people who are like-minded, who are going to give us advice that's aligned with God's will for our life. So those are some of the things that we can do. We can continue as well. Here's another one. And when this came up first, it was kind of counterintuitive. Is that when you are in a problem, look to solve somebody else's problem. It sounds crazy, it made up my problem. But that very act of reaching out makes a huge difference to you. You'll be surprised to see the impact that it has on your mindset, etc. And in many instances, just reaching out to support others, you might find answers for your own problem. So volunteering makes sense in the midst of your crisis, in the midst of the problem. You might have individuals who are grieving, for example. it's a tough one, and I step away from it because I'm so scared about even talking about it. Leave that to Brother Andre. But if you go and provide comfort to somebody else, it's going to make a difference to you. It's going to make a difference to you. And so basically the whole idea is show compassion, look to serve, no matter how deep-seated your problem is. When I pause there, I've been saying some things here that are difficult to swallow. Any comments on this? And I definitely need Brother Andre here.
I mean, I have a comment. I do believe, I genuinely do believe that the concept that you have shared a while ago, that even while you're in pain, that you still set out and try and see if it can help folks, because it can serve as a distraction. Sometimes when you feel so overwhelmed, you might feel like you are not only the victim, but people must come and serve you. And if it's not forthcoming, then boy, you feel even further depressed. And so the idea of even say, okay, you know something, I'm going to help somebody. I'm going to help somebody. Amazingly, it can put you at a place where it's not that you forget what you're going through, but you can become a little bit distracted and be a little bit more, and then refocus. And even in so doing too, you start to, the feel-good juice that you need to help you to overcome, by doing that will help you to overcome, because you get your serotonin, or you whatever, you know, going inside if you want more, you know. So yes, I fully concur and will agree.
If I may add as well, as you said that, I am reminded of a scripture passage that I came across as a young adult that served me well, and I suppose the reminder is for me to use it now. But it's part of the scripture that talk about confessing sins. But it goes on to say, and pray for each other so that you may be healed. In other words, how I've understood this is that whatever I'm going through, if I can find somebody with a similar situation, or just a situation that needs prayer for, by specifically, and it's what my brother said earlier, by specifically putting the focus on the other person. And it's a principle of sowing the seed and giving, not just so that you can receive, but it's a principle that says in giving you receive. So in putting all the agony that I'm feeling about my situation and the distress and so forth, by putting that in my prayer on the behalf of someone else or other persons, then I am putting effectively my situation before God as well. But I'm saying, God, again, like the brother said, I'm not the only one here need help, Lord. Help me to focus on other persons as well. And in the process, it lightens the burden.
Thanks, Jace. I don't want to go into it. There's a lot of neuroscience, by the way, that talks about the benefits, the physical benefits as well of this kind of action. Anyway, so thank you. Yes. So it's something that I think we could do. Then, of course, we want to trust in the promises. I never leave you or forsake you. Basically, it's a whole question of faith, you know, building your faith and relying on your faith through difficult challenges. We believe that this is going to happen. Our prayer is a believing prayer we talk about. And then also, one of the things that I certainly try to talk about is to say, if you believe it, you need to have actions that are aligned with that. You know, one of the things we talk about, for example, is somebody saying, I desperately need a job. So we prayed about it, yes. How many applications have you sent out? So it's no point in believing unless you put actions that go with it. So this is a big one. This is a big one. The whole willingness to just let it go, and to forgive. Some of the crises that we have, some of the challenges that we have come from interpersonal problems. Somebody did something or whatever, and we have a challenge letting it go. Go ahead. Okay, yeah, James 5:16. Thank you, brother. All right. So yeah, forgive others. Not only would that be in alignment with what God expects of you, but it makes a difference. There's a series of articles that talk about that. I think some sermons sometimes that talk about forgiveness as a wonder drug, in the sense that unforgiveness has serious medical implications, negative implications with respect to our health. And so when we forgive, it is not to the benefit of the other individual. It's a selfish act, actually, in the sense that we are the ones that benefit most from forgiveness. So if we can let go some of these things, and let God. So if this is not an issue with forgiveness, if it is a challenge that we're going in, we have this issue that we have to deal with, so we pray about it. But then we toss and turn all night, having said, Father, please take care of this for me, etc. We don't rest well because we are still grappling with it. And sometimes we actually go and take action because of our impatience, because of the fact that we haven't really left it in God's hands. We've prayed about it, but we have decided that we need to take action. That's where the scriptures come in many instances. Yeah, where people, want to supersede what it is that God is supposed to be doing. They're taking it on themselves, trying to make things happen. This is what we do when we go and falsify the papers to get the visa. Okay, and then, yeah, this is the other one. Now we need to be patient, but also persistent. Remember the widow, the persistent, the scriptures talk about that consistent pleading. So yes, we want to be praying, we want to be patient, and we want to continue to worship, continue to be faithful, continue to trust God, and not giving up, not being frustrated, and not saying, hey, where's God? Okay. I'm going to come back to the self-condemnation. So let's go. So I'm pushing forward because I want to have a big discussion at the end. Victim versus victim mentality. Let me put these up so we can look at them. The whole question then of what do we think? How do we process adversity? How do we process setbacks? Yeah, lost our job, or we got ill, or and real problems in a relationship. I don't know what other ones are there, but something hasn't gone the way that you want it to go, and it's a major problem. What's going on in our heads? That's the question. Yeah, there's a tendency among humans to think negatively. Yeah. So there's a challenge that's coming in, and we really don't think we can clear the hurdle. What we're thinking about is, oh my gosh, this is beyond me. What's going to happen when I don't clear the hurdle? What are the implications? How embarrassing is that going to be? And what does it mean for A, B, C, D? And so we really then ruminate. And sometimes, by the way, this is even before the event. And even after some time, we continued on the road of saying, my gosh, I don't know how we can live fast. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to go and hide my face. I can't face life. And we go down a road of really serious unhealthy thinking. And we're suggesting that makes whatever adversity we have gone through, whatever the setback was, that has made it a lot worse. And one of the thriving strategies, one of the things that would help us to thrive is to really be careful, to look out for these thoughts, and challenge ourselves, right? To really get rid of the negative self-talk. Yeah? And also the belief, sometimes we don't express it, but our actions indicate that deep down inside, we have it. As a matter of fact, let us talk about those limiting beliefs, because that is the way Brother Andre would get paid to do some of these things. Sometimes it's so deep-seated that we don't even recognize it, because we have encouraged it and it's now deep into, so it's there, subconscious. So, and we can figure out why we're not able to get past this. Why is this action coming up all the time? It's because we haven't dealt with the matter fully. And so those limitations are continuing to defeat us as we go along. And so one strategy I would suggest that we can look at as well is to think about how we talk to ourselves. Suppose we were giving advice to a child, let us say we have a young daughter, or young son, and we are giving him and talking to him about the issue. Would you talk to them like that? Or what about your best friend or your spouse? Would you use those terms? Would you say, these kinds of things to that individual? So that's a thought that I think we could put on the table. How would you advise? How would you share thoughts with respect to the particular issue with your 12-year-old daughter? Would you talk to them the way that you're talking to yourself or thinking? And so the other big thing would be, is it true? Is it true? What evidence is there that the way that you're thinking about yourself is true? Yeah. And can you look back through your life to find evidence of the contrary, where what you're saying is not true because in that situation, the opposite was true? Those are some of the things. And I'm dwelling a little bit here on the negative thing, because this is a challenge. This perhaps is the biggest hurdle to get into a place where you can thrive after setbacks. It is how we file this. It is how we actually process the information and internalize it. If we internalize it in negative ways, then it's going to impact how we can move forward. Got to get some feedback here or input on this, because this is a mega point.
Again, I think you are spot on, where sometimes it's so difficult for us to move past our crisis because we keep on replaying our ability to overcome, or oftentimes we feel like the change must not come from me to overcome the crisis. And that kind of belief system sometimes makes it difficult for us to overcome, because, in other words, since I did not necessarily do anything to bring this upon me, then why is it that I need to make the adjustment to take myself out of it? And sometimes that what we believe about the crisis can either propel us to do something about it, or let us remain victims to it. And so one of the things for us, one of the things that we can encourage folks to do is to say, all righty, whether I cause it yea or nay, do I want to remain in pain? And if the answer is no, then what can I do to take myself out of it? We need to ask ourselves the question, and put the onus on ourselves to take ourselves out of it, rather than asking another person or the situation to change for us to be relieved of it.
I like the idea that and we didn't cause it, so it's not I didn't invite this. I don't have to take it on. The other thing, of course, is, and some of these are, you might say, okay, fine, but these are, obvious, but sometimes the obvious needs to be reinforced. Sometimes we are in the crisis, and maybe we're looking to deal with issues that we really can't deal with, and maybe we need to look at how we have to adjust to those realities. So that is something as well. We can get very animated about situations that really and truly there's nothing that we can do about it. Let us say we get diagnosed, we have hypertension, whatever it is, or something that's there. That's the reality. No, I'm gonna make a fuss with the people that do the diagnostics and do the, what I'm saying. Sometimes it don't make any sense what we're doing. So we're gonna fuss about that and whatever it is. But that's the reality. The reality is that this is the situation as it stands. You miss the bus or you miss the plane, whatever it is, and you come back out and you rail with the people at the front desk, but you come late, and the plane gone anyway. So what are you going to do now? It makes sense now. You quarrel with them and get out. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes we are fussing and fighting and challenging serious energy into areas that can't produce any results. And so we need to look then and to see where can I channel my energies to be of value. Stop tilting at windmills, and stop worrying about stuff that is, you can't deal with anything, you can't deal with it. Stop the wishful thinking. Oh, I wish that this, but it has happened. So some of that to me is we're victims. So victims us focus on nobody cares about me, and it is because of this. And you look at every other reason why, apart from looking at the reality, that this is where you are. This is the reality. What happens now? What happens now? Victors tend to come to grips and to say, okay, this is what it is. This is what needs to happen. And I'm going to channel my energies in the direction of success. Not going to be bitter, not going to be blaming, not going to go down that road. My thing would be to what I'm doing right now. And so, the other thing is, it's helpful. This thing sounds like we're playing games, but mind games, trust me, are very helpful, because again, neuroscience talks about the flows, of the different things that happen inside of our bodies. Watch it, because they make a difference physically. And also at the same time, we are rewiring our brains. So every action, all the thoughts has some physical rewiring. So if we rewire our brains in the wrong direction, we're going to have problems. So positive thinking makes a difference. So find the positives. Yeah. And I say this, I shouldn't be laughing, but I say this one, but suppose you say that it could be worse. God is not worse. No, okay, that sounds terrible. Yeah, but it could actually be worse. And if we think about it in that light, then that's helpful. Oh my gosh, this thing could be worse, It could have been so and so. And I'm thankful to God that it's only this. I don't land so well, right? But I understand. But think about it in that light, that it is possible that there are times when bad things could have been worse. And we should give thanks and be grateful. And by the way, gratitude is medicine as well, right? Gratitude mindset is helpful, right? So that's what I would want. Look for lessons, look for insight, look for opportunities for self-improvement. Shift from dwelling on the problem and looking at the potential benefits. I don't want us to go as far as to say there were benefits from slavery, as I hear what's happening in the States, but that's a very awkward one. But I'm just saying to you, look for a silver lining, and it's going to make a difference to help you to get out. And this is my favorite. One of my favorite things is the visualization. There is power in Miles is the man talk about the theater of the mind, where basically you used to do it as children. Yeah, you used to imagine yourself as a doctor or a nurse or a cowboy, and play games, and So that's the whole idea. The whole idea is to use our mental powers to imagine scenarios in which we are overcoming the challenges. See ourselves at the thriving end of the setback as against ruminating on the problem. That visualization makes a huge difference. And the conditions are ideal when you actually maybe turn off the lights, get quietly in your bed, and just lie down and just visualize, close out. The more powerful your imagination is, so if you can bring in sound and that kind of thing, try and play out the scenario as vividly as you can. That's going to make a difference again to your mind. Right? There are studies that suggest that that kind of vivid imaging or imagining serves as well as if it were an actual action. So the more you can actually sit there, think, and see yourself on the other side, it's going to give you powers to move forward. Right? Sounds like a crazy thing. Any input there? Questions? Comments? May I ask, what has landed for you? Anything at all that we have shared so far has landed for you? Made sense? This is to the group generally. I really like interactive sessions. Let me look at my list. It's like I could roll call, I could call upon anybody. Scared. Anything shared so far? Sounds as if it could be useful to you. Anybody hear me? Oh. Right, and I won't get any answers apparently. Okay, all right. So let me move the process forward. All right. Another big one would be seeking support. Well, some of us are strong-willed. Some of us are very private persons. So when we have issues, we want to solve it for ourselves. And we don't want to share it with people. We don't want anybody to know really what's happening. And so we take it on ourselves. And that's actually a positive sign. That's a big step towards resilience. But when we talk about self-efficacy, and people talk about whether we have agency. Basically, do you feel as if you can cope for yourself? Do you have a sense that you can navigate through life? And so that's healthy. So I would never want to discourage anybody from having a mentality that says, I'm going to try and fight my battles. I'm going to try and navigate and do things for myself. And that's helpful. That's healthy, I think. That's it. But there comes a time sometimes when something is a little bit more than we can really manage. Patrick might come and ask the question, and then it's how do we know when it is more than we can manage? That's part of what I suppose our emotional intelligence then to know that this one is a little bit more. It's a stretch. I've stretched, but I can't stretch anymore. And rather than invite quote unquote failure, we should look at it. I think that resilience includes the reliance on a support mechanism. That's a part of it. As a matter of fact, one of the structures, one of the things that are important pillars of resilience is the idea that you have a support network. So that's part of building resilience is to develop a support network. So it's not counter to, and I'm not contradicting myself by saying, okay, yes, it's healthy to try to solve the things on your own, and it's also healthy to have a support network. I think it's a question of judgment for yourself to understand when is it that you really need to reach out. When is it that you really need to reach out? Ideally, in my view, ideally, we should have some close connection, sufficiently close connection, that early in the piece, even while you're working on sorting it out yourself, you could still have alerted somebody to say, hey, this is happening. I'm not inviting, you're not saying to me, come and help me, saying to them, come and help me. But at least you have shared it. For sure, you need to share it in prayer, which really means now that you're reaching out to your support network, because God is your support network as well. So at least you'd have raised it in prayer. But yeah, I would say lean on families, friends, mentors for your emotional support. Don't just go through the problem by yourself. Month after month, you're sad. You can see a change in your life. Is there joy in your life? Have you changed your lifestyle? We used to enjoy this, you're not enjoying that anymore. Maybe you're not eating. All sorts of different. If you're observant, you could see changes in your life as a result of the setback, the adversity, and you're not coping so well with it. Those are signs that you need help. And I called this morning from friend, colleague that had a major loss sometime now in close family. Don't want to talk the things so that anybody would know. And then there was another hit over the Independence a couple of days ago, and so devastated. devastated in terms of coping. I must say that my recommendation was, I still am suggesting to you that you go and get professional help, because the reason why this one is so devastating is because you still haven't dealt with the past ones. And so sometimes, you feel, let me share my answer is that I'm so overrun that I can't really even try and talk to anybody about it. I can't seek help because I am in such a deep hole that I don't know how to talk to somebody about it. And that to me is where the problem is, in that it is precisely then that you need to go. In the church, we talk about that people are saying, boy, I did some bad things, etc., and I need to stay away. No, that's the time you need to come. and so I'm just suggesting that don't be in a state where you're not coping and still not seeking help, because I don't see how you're going to get out of it. I could never have a leading counseling psychologist on the call and be talking about this particular area here and not having come in and talk about it as well. Dear brother Andre?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many folks that literally die on the inside because they feel they have to tough it out, or as I said earlier, I don't need to be bothered and all those things, and so they allow how they feel to interfere with what they must do. Okay, and this is one time where they need to have a conversation with the feelings, because really and truly they are just slowly hurting themselves, and find somebody, even if it's not psychology, but literally find somebody where you can download a sounding base, or whatever the term is, just talk, where somebody is not going to be judgmental and just have a chance to just hear you out and listen to you. But can you imagine you're definitely going to feel like a victim if you feel like you don't have anybody to talk to. And then on top of that, now you tell yourself that I don't want to stress people out with my problem. I'm going to stress them out. No, I'm serious. I'm going to stress them out. So yes, I agree with you. On one stage, you have to learn to be resilient and all that. But a part, and as you have said before, a part of the resilience is finding the right support. Why? So that you can recover. A part of the resilience, is you finding the right support so that you can recover. So thank God that you found this person that you could talk to and they could lend that kind of support to you. So this no man's an island. We just need to recognize that when we find that, listen, I am suffocating. I'm suffocating. Just swallow your pride and say, hey, reach out. If you're sink and ball out, people probably don't hear, can't help, and can't give you the support. So I mean, just yeah, that's what happens.
All right, thank you. Anybody else about the support? Hopefully everybody who's on has some kind of support mechanism of at least one person that you can talk to. And also, certainly this will give you a mindset to say, when I'm having problems, I need to reach out. I shouldn't go and suffer in silence by myself if I'm not coping. I need to reach out and get help. whether it is professional help, whether it's just downloading, it's something to do. All right. I want to talk about this a little bit now. Again, I think I hinted at it before, but this whole question of self-compassion. When we go through problems, when things happen, right? One of the things that humans like to do is find blame, right? So when we have our problems, we will look to somebody to blame, and many times we start to blame ourselves. The more, here's a strange statement, the more responsible ones among us tend to blame ourselves, so it's not like other people, a lot of people that are looking outside to say, well, it's not my fault, it's this cause it or that cause it. So strangely enough, the responsible ones tend to blame themselves. It's my fault, it's me to this. And if I were so clumsy, if I was so stupid, this wouldn't happen. And it's because I'm such an idiot, why do this? And if I had more courage, I'm sure, that tends to happen to us, is that, we really beat down on ourselves. And in simple things, there's a little test that you can do, for example, is that you walk in and you butt your toe, you say, man, it's so clumsy, or you drop something, it's so clumsy, or you make a mistake, man, you're so stupid. These things just come automatically. Be careful. That's the negative self-talk that we're saying. And there's a theory which I share. I don't think that I coined it or whatever it is that if you spoke to your friends the way that you speak to yourself, but you won't have many friends. That's the truth, right? Because we're very, very harsh, very, very critical of ourselves in our self-talk, and it's not so helpful, especially when we're going through adversity, especially when we're trying to come out of a setback. We want encouragement, right? So, you have a team that just get beaten. It's really, and truly, try to encourage them. You want to suggest to them ways in which they might win the next game. You're not going to say, boy, it's just a 4 years of careless. It's not helping them, really and truly. If we go back through all of the things and try and point out to them is that you're just inadequate, you're just inept. So, what do you expect in the next game? That's part of it. So, I mentioned earlier the idea of communicating to your 12-year-old daughter as to, how you would communicate the challenges. How would you talk? Would you say to her, Well, some people actually do it. Unfortunately, that's some of the parenting that we have is that they're worthless like whatever it is, just like your worthless father, or you have no sense, or you're not going to turn out to be anything. Self-fulfilling prophecy happening afterwards. They're not really turn out to anything. And let's not do that to ourselves, where we beat down ourselves and criticize ourselves. Are we going to turn out to be self-fulfilling prophecies? That's a question that we have to ask. Right? You have to believe in yourself. You have to. I'm not saying be unrealistic. That you're going to say to yourself if you're in track that you're going to run 9.95 or whatever it is. That's all I'm saying is be realistic. Be optimistic, be encouraging when you're talking to yourself. Yes, you might have made some mistakes, and you can look at them. You can accept, yes, I made a mistake here. People do make mistakes. I'm at a point now I understand how and why, and I know what to do about it. Always that forward-looking mindset when we're communicating with ourselves. And that gives us hope, and that gives us a chance, really, to thrive as we go forward. Comments on that? Right. So I think this is probably my last slide, but I so want to have some question and answers, and also to share some thoughts with you. And then we can wrap up in a few minutes. Any questions, serious comments, any takeaways? Go ahead.
Until others decide that they want to speak.
No, go ahead.
The advantage of using the technology we have available to us. I'm big on writing, and when I'm sad or stressed, I'll write it out, because sometimes I don't feel like telling anybody because I'm not sure if I can articulate it well. So the advantage sometimes of writing out the stress as well. Not that you're avoiding people, but it helps you to get a sense and to apply some of the things that you have been saying about the mindset and so forth. But in more recent times, I have found the value of a recording on the telephone, on the cell phone, of using, if you don't have a recorder app, for instance, of sending myself a text, a verbalized text message where I listen to myself. And you're talking about being kind to yourself, make sure you're saying the right things and so forth. So by making these recordings, sometimes I have to do more than 2 or 3 to hear the whole story. But by listening to it, it's a way of putting it out there away from myself so I can look objectively at it and not just have it swirling around in my mind. Because I think that's what happened to us sometimes. The same thing just keep going around in a circle, and then it gets worse. It picks up speed. And then it gets worse. And there's a sense too that I try and practice, in as much as we do preparation for hurricane season, or we should, buy 2 tin stuff and make sure you have a little container for water and so forth. There's a way that stress and turbulent times are going to come. Somebody said, if you're not going through 1 or 2 of them, then you are preparing to go. It's ahead somewhere. Not that you're planning for it, but it's the reality of the living. So there's a way in which too we need to prepare for stressful time. And I think what you're doing tonight is part of that framework, helping us to prepare. So I'm hoping that some of us who join are not necessarily in stressful times, but if we are, it is definitely helpful. I'm finding it helpful reminding myself. And the word reminding there has the word mind in there, because it's really about seeing your mind and tackling the mental capacities. So thank you for this. It's definitely helpful. And I've taken a few screenshots so I can read a couple of the things that you say again. So I much appreciate you.
If you want, you can send me an email. I'll send it to you. info@successwithpeople.org.
Could you put that in the chat, please? And then I'll just copy it.
All right.
Thank you.
You forced me to use the technology. All right. By the way, you mentioned something, and let me just put in this thing first. Info. Can't see. Okay, there we go. I think I was right. Org. info@successwithpeople.org. Anybody that wants the slides, I can send it to them easily. Just send me an email here. One of the things that you can't include everything would be the issue of journaling. Journaling is a huge, and you're using the technology. Instead of writing, you could actually record stuff, etc. But writing about the situation, the adversity, the setback, etc., is useful. And what that can help you to do as well is that you can go back, So here, if you talk about contemporaneous notes, which might be useful in a trial coming up. But anyway, if you document it, then you can look back at how you saw this situation as it, came into being, and how you dealt with it. And then, of course, you could go back in some time and look back So yeah, that you have actual records of it. But even in that writing, it's a download. So journaling is also important. But here, in terms of using the technology, never thought of doing that. Hopefully you don't lose your phone. People know all your business, but it don't matter. All right, any other comments or questions? Something in the chat. Oh, Sharon is on. Oh. All right. What has helped me be resilient is prayer, counseling, support groups, and friends. Thanks, Sharon. Yeah. That's really powerful. And as I'm saying, it's good to be strong. It's good to be strong. But man, when you can also have even the prayer partners, the counselors, the friends, etc. And for me, prayer is also calling on the support group, and it's the most powerful support that we could have, which is going to God in prayer. So thanks, John. Appreciate that. Any other comments or things? So what we have been trying to suggest is that we can, in fact, probably run through this, can in fact find ways to address our challenges in ways. What is happening? Okay, sorry. Running around. I'm trying to go back with my slides and can't even find my mouse. All right. That's happening for me. Okay. Mr. Pitt says. What is happening? Right. Finally. All right. So we're wrapping up. We'll be closing down in 10 seconds, 10 minutes or so. I just wanted to, some of you might have come late, so I'll give you a 5-second run through. So yeah, we're looking at setbacks. We're saying setbacks are inevitable. And so we just need to learn to live with them. And if something is inevitable. And embracing the setbacks, the reality of setbacks makes a difference. So we have a mindset that says this is going to happen, then we need to move forward. And then we have, of course, the scriptures that talk about it, that we can cry out, God is there. And if we start to look at our setbacks like that, that there is a source outside of ourselves, it's not just little us trying to scramble and achieve our goals. Yeah? So, and then the whole question of resilience, and we use the example of Joseph going through all of his crises and still rising, so that it means that there can be purpose behind, there can be a reason why we are in the box of bricks. And so if you can think about those things, to accept the reality of our setbacks in the context that it could be opening up avenues for us, right? And so we talk about a learning mindset, where the idea is that this is not, don't see it as punishment, really see it as a learning opportunity. Also, shift away from just ruminating on the problem and try to see if you can find answers, all right? We also want to say it could be an opportunity for growth. It could be an opportunity for change, that you might have to say, no, this is a crisis. And because it is a crisis, I need to change. If it is, let us say, with smoking, they always have to stop smoke, because look at the black lungs. Yes. So sometimes the setback can prompt us to make transforming change in our life, transformation in our lives. All right. And we also looked at the whole question of the power, and this is where Sharon shared the word prayer and meditation, very powerful things. Study the scriptures, because there is power in your connection with God. and developing, working with a faith community, those areas. Right? And then we are saying, reach out. Yes. When you have your challenge, try to solve somebody else's challenge. Basically, show compassion, be of service, and trust God, build your faith, let it go. Forgiveness. A lot of the problems that we have come from unforgiveness, and also holding on to things that we have given to God, and be patient, persistent. That's sort of what we're trying to say. Then the whole question of victim mentality. Work on the negative thoughts. We spent a fair amount of time here where we're trying to say, stop beating down, stop thinking negatively about yourself, because that's not helpful. And only deal with the things that don't make sense with us. This is our reality. Why is the time so hot? Okay, fine, it's hot. Yeah, we have to deal with it, but at some point in time, we can't change the weather. So we have to work out how we're going to deal with it. And then seek silver linings in whatever it is. Again, positive mindset, visualization, this idea of imagine. Go back to the childhood thing where you were playing doctor and nurse and cowboy and Indian. Use that imagination to see yourself on the other side of the crisis, on the other side of the problem. Right? And of course, we're talking about seeking support, lean on family. It's good to be strong. It's good to be, independent. But believe me, at some point in time, we do need to have some resilience, some support for our resilience, and talk to yourself in a better way. All right, that's it. Thank you for your time. And let's remind you that this is an outreach of the St. Andrew Church of Christ. I think I could actually stop and share. Hopefully, I can share where we are. But if you can meet, we meet at 77 Redlands Road, and we worship at 9 a.m. on Sunday. Today is not a good day for me. I'm in an awkward position. That is why I'm not able to navigate through. All right, so we meet at 77 Redlands Road at 9 a.m. And I think I'm going to get it somewhere or another. Final. Okay. Thanks for your patience. Right. All of these nav live and Bible class sermons are available on our YouTube channel, Simply Christians with S, Simply Christians JA, and also on Facebook. And as I say, we worship at 77 Redlands Road at 9 a.m. And we have a Bible class immediately after. Midweek Bible class on Tuesday at 6:30. And we can use the very same Zoom link and password to achieve that. All right. Thanks so much. If you got value from this, you could share the link with someone. As we say, it's on YouTube, Simply Christians JA. All right. And Sister Sharon is saying, for those specifically going through marital separation and divorce, there is a Fresh Start Divorce Recovery Support group, which is a ministry of the family life. Right? So there's a Fresh Start Divorce Recovery group. I know that Dr. Sharon is leading that. So please, if you're having challenges that are outside of what it is that we're talking about today, like your marital separation, then get advice. Here it is. We have people that are reaching out, providing advice. Accept the invitation. Thanks, and may God bless you.